Hey there, welcome back to Disc Golf Network's coverage of the 2022 Santa Cruz Masters Cup, presented by Innova.
We've got the FPO lead card, round 2, and we've got the back 9 for you coming up.
Right now, I, Ella Hansen, am sitting in first place with Owen Scoggins and Catrina Allen just one stroke off the lead. And Jessica Weese and Sarah Hokom are two other lead card players tied for fourth.
Maria Oliva and Kat Mertz put together a nice front 9, sitting at +1 for the round.
That's a super solid front 9. We're looking at hole 10, throwing up this little gully, through this little tree gap, and just trying to push it over this little hill here. It's pretty hard pan. It's pretty easy to get a lot of ground play and push far up the fairway. Might see some other players throwing the spike hyzer route over the top. And this is a pretty tough hole, par 3. Most players are probably looking to get a 3 on this hole. And we've got a pretty guarded green, lots of trees in the way, making for some tough putts.
You're wanting to throw something stable up the hill, but not too stable that you're skipping out left. So you're going to see people throwing discs that they can push on hyzer.
Mm-hmm. Jessica throwing a forehand.
4.
Getting a little too, not quite as turned over, I think, as she wanted to. And skipping out to the right. That's going to be a tough, tough spot for her.
That reminded me of the berries and cream guy.
I'm looking for this over-the-top spike hyzer route. Catching that tree. I'm kind of aiming for that tree. I'm fine to land there, but I'm unfortunately behind the tree there, so it's going to be a tough approach for me.
Sarah also taking this flex forehand up the gap, but getting a better turn on it, leaving her more in the center of the fairway.
She pushes up onto the flat. That will be a nice, well-footed approach for her.
Catrina taking the backhand gap through the middle and puring it.
Yeah.
That is a great shot. She's only going to have a couple trees to contend with.
Great shot for Kat. And I'm just got a nice little straddle out, lean out forehand here. Trying to
You got a hold of that one. That was great.
give it some juice, getting a weird little kick, but I'll be inside the circle with a putt for par.
Sarah with this basically straight look at the basket, although straight does not mean easy. There are a lot of trees in the way, and it narrows as you get into the basket.
Mm-hmm. I think she turned that over a little too much. Caught a tree. She'll be at the edge of the circle. Just with a super tough angle here.
Wow.
That's the other basket.
Pushes it a little bit long from that angle. She would have parked where the basket position was last year.
Catrina having a fairly simple putter approach shot, but throwing that inside a little too much. Still inside the circle, though, and she'll have a putt.
Yeah, it's ground play. Even on this hole where the green is relatively flat, you can still find yourself scooting really far away from the basket. Jess just pitching it up, hoping to get herself a four there. Sarah has
Looks like that branch was a little in her way.
Yeah, she had a pretty obstructed putt there,
Yes, it was.
especially with the way she putts. That branch was in her way. Kat cashing the putt.
That's a great 3. Ooh,
It was a
that's
tough
a
one.
bummer.
Yeah, that one wasn't a great putt, but it definitely could have stayed in the basket, you know. So I'm a little bummed about that.
Just grabbing a bogey here on hole 10.
Sarah with the bogey as well. And I will tap in another bogey.
This one did come in as the second most difficult on the day. Had a fair number of pars, which was nice to see, but no birdies. Not surprising.
Not surprising at all. Moving on to hole 11. This hole, you really, really, really don't want to be left. We're throwing over the top of these trees, kind of trying to keep it to the right of this tall dead tree you can see on the left of your screen, and trying to miss this last tree that we're about to fly over and get yourself up inside the circle. A bit of a treacherous screen, but not too bad for Dela. Cat giving it a full rip, lots of height, lots of commitment.
Looks like it's starting to come out a little sooner than she would have wanted, which can be, dropped down nicely though.
Yeah. Good catch there from the tree. Jessica throwing the backhand line as well. Something a little more stable, putting it on a lot of Annie. That looks great.
That's a great line. And she beats that last tree.
Giving herself a long look for the birdie.
Taking a more direct approach. Oh, that was really nice. Did it come out?
Yeah, it came
Caught
out.
a tree at the end.
Caught a tree. I think the line was good, just a little bit low for me.
If you can throw this hole where the disc doesn't end by catching a tree, color me impressed.
Yes. Sarah, little too much turnover. Gets caught up by the tree and actually ends up stuck in the tree, so she's marking her disc down here. Oof. Falling, catching some limbs there,
That's a great
but
out.
getting herself right to the edge of the circle.
I don't think I need that.
She just left her disc up in the tree.
With the hole being only 339 feet, we know that everyone can reach the hole, but with the tree's height that you have to get over it, you need power that's closer to around 360, 370 to actually reach the circle.
Mm-hmm. Jessica giving it a good run. Got the height right, just a little bit left. This hole was the 9th most difficult, but still a really hard birdie to get. I was a little disappointed with my upshot. I was hoping to scoot up a little closer, but able to make
that's a
the
great putt.
save the par. And Sarah looking to save her par as well. Oh, just catching the cage, but she'll sit pretty close.
That's a great putt there from Jess. And Sarah putting in for her bogey.
Catrina taps out a par.
Zero stress there.
And we are moving on to gravity.
The easiest hole on the course today.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, just look at her. Hole 12, it's a par 3, 225 feet, downhill the entire way. You'll see people mostly taking a line on the left side of this tree, trying to hit the ground, and just slide in. Stability is your friend. If you throw something a little understable and don't put enough hyzer on it, you're going down into the gully.
Going down. Catrina going with a standstill here. Looks like a nice line.
Great. That can be the hard part about hitting on the right side of that tree. If you're not landing flat or almost with Annie, your skip is going to send you down the hill.
Yeah. Even if you do land flat to the ground is so steep that you could still slide really far. And just settles down right there, just behind Kat's disc. Both of them just inside the circle. I throw this a little too soft. Catch that dead tree. I don't like it. And Sarah going with the backhand.
It's looking nice. Just nestle in.
Just
That's how you do it. There you go.
Nice
Thanks, lady.
upside down slide. Perfect.
With this hole, a lot of tee shots here at Dela, you're trying to pinpoint these spots, but I would say this hole, your approach is one of the most finicky. Because even when you decide to lay up, you could be rolling down the hill.
Yeah. I threw that forehand layup as gentle as I possibly could.
Oh, that's a good bid from Jess.
Man, that disc was trying to roll. The ground didn't let it.
It's a first here. It's quite a steep putt if you're anywhere on the side of this hill.
Mm-hmm. Oh, just a little low for Kat. It's a really hard putt from down there. A lot of elevation.
Otherwise, I don't know where to go.
Grabbing her par and getting out of the way.
Just with a little bit of a tester here. Makes her par.
If you plan to come play Dela, make sure you get comfortable with straddle putts. Woohoo!
I'm really happy with a par after my tee shot.
And Sarah with the birdie. Little check-in here after 12 holes of our second round. Own just keeping it clean, adding herself into that tie for first. Still even.
Super solid round for her. We got Jess and Sarah both tied for fourth. And Maria Oliva +2, Kat Murch at even, and lots of other great scores here in our top 10 leaderboard. All right, hole 13. We're looking uphill. We're looking left to right here. This is going to be a forehand or a turnover backhand for most players. Trying to go either to the right, like the drone is flying, or to the left of that tree. And hoping to get some nice, slidey, gentle ground play up to this green. This is a hole that, you might even be well inside the circle and choose to lay it up. It's pretty gnarly there behind the basket.
You'll see a lot more players taking the further gap, the wider gap that's a little more left of the fairway. The right gap shortens your distance, but your flair and possibility for rolling is exponentially increased. That looks great.
Great shot, just around the edge. Gets kind of a weird reaction there. She was hoping to, I think, slide up a little closer to the basket, but she'll still have a look there for a birdie if she chooses to go for it.
Jessica also opting with the right-hand backhand. Little turnover.
Oh, catching a little bit of trees, pushing it just a tiny bit too straight.
Oh, you did take that inner line.
Pushing it inside, a little too inside. Get a little slide down the hill, but
That hill is definitely a better side versus the cliff that's behind the basket, but it's
not great.
incredibly dry grass.
Yeah.
Cannot
pretty slick.
stress that enough.
Just with a beautiful,
Nice floaty approach.
yeah, touch forehand.
Sarah with the approach. Hitting the, perfect.
Little hop for that disc, but it sits down nicely. And I did not have very much of a gap here. Just trying to pop it over that bush, scoot it up to the basket. I'm happy with that.
And that's great. Yeah.
Catrina lining up a run here. Really the only opportunity for birdie on the whole card. And she just catches chains, catches cage, doesn't go in, but she sits right there next to the basket. That's a great bid. Gotta have some gusto to go for that putt.
Yeah, that was. There we go. Even as you get into the center and you're close to the bullseye, it can be tough on some of these. Just staring down that cliff. There was one birdie on the day today, carded by Maria Oliva.
Sick.
I would love to see that. I wonder where she was.
Yeah. So the whole card is gonna take a 3 on that hole.
That feels so nice.
Yes.
An entire card of threes.
Unbelievable stuff from Paul McVeigh.
The crowd was so spectacular today. Just the energy from you all was just amazing.
I love you, Oregon. Hole 14, 324 foot par 3. Pretty flat fairway here. Fairly wide open for the first half of the hole. And then we have some trees, both upward and sideways to deal with. Got this big root ball we're passing on the left. That's a big obstacle you're trying to avoid. And kind of just trying to squeeze it through this gap up to the basket. Road on the left, almost inside the bullseye, out of bounds, and canyon to your right.
You can take a wider hyzer gap, but with the cliff being along the edge of the fairway, surprisingly, not surprisingly at Dela, it can be a tricky play.
Sarah with a nice shot down the middle, just a little too low for her. She'll be kind of hung up by that root ball.
Ooh, get over it. No.
Oh,
I think that thing has a magnet in it.
yeah, it does. And Catrina gets a tough kick to the left, but she stays safe.
You pretty much want to hug the edge of the root as close as possible if you're taking that lower line drive.
Yeah.
Jess did opt for that wider hyzer, catching a tree, but looks like she was able to nestle in on the side of the hill.
Yeah, she loved her shot. She caught a little tree there at the end, but it puts her in a good
Yeah,
spot.
it looked great.
I threw this on a little more hyzer than I would like to. Was a little worried about going in the road, but
Had a nice catch there by a log.
thank you, log. Sarah trying to navigate her way around that stump root ball thing and throws it straight into a tree that is a poison ivy or poison oak and thorns. Now Cat is looking to throw it an anti-backhand up and over the road, and you couldn't see it, but she sort of bounced in, hit a little bit of a root, and scooted just out of bounds.
Oh,
She was not happy with that shot.
so she was able to. She did touch inbounds.
Yeah, so she'll take it up
So at
there.
least she'll move up. That's a nice forehand approach. Sit down. Perfect.
Using a little bit of a backstop there.
If you get caught up on the left side, it can be really tricky because the line almost wants to force you into using a forehand, but with the slope of this hill, it can be extremely tricky.
So Sarah ended up taking relief back off of this poison oak, giving this a
Oh,
big
wow.
anti-run, almost putting it in the basket.
It almost seemed like she couldn't see the basket from where she was behind that bush.
Yeah, so you could see there just how close Catrina's disc was to the being safe. She has a look here for bogey. Save and
Oh.
just catches band. A little bit of frustration there.
Definitely. I mean, the shot over the road looked like it was clean, and it's that easy to be out.
Yeah.
Always nice checking in with the card. Saves
So-
time, speed of play.
Just giving her a nice little alcohol cleansing of her disc that was stuck in the poison oak. Make sure you're getting all the...
Do you have that on a hip holster?
Yeah. I'm ready at any time. You're welcome, Sarah.
Hole 15, we have a par 3, 351 feet, just uphill the entire way. It feels more of like a 420-foot kind of power.
Yeah.
The main thing you have to contend with is this tree here in the middle. Now, without the 2-meter rule, you're going to see a couple more people probably throwing over the top, but you're mostly going to see someone trying to just hit that center gap into the side of the hill up here and stick. You do have the road OB on the right, which is really the only thing that can grab you with a rollaway.
And a pretty treacherous green here.
Incredibly slick.
Jessica throwing a nice little hyzer flip up right down the middle, putting herself in a great spot.
I like to think of that as the ideal approach on this hole.
Yeah. I'm throwing a cloud breaker, getting a really nice skip.
Great ground play.
Ground play.
Really forcing your way up that hill.
You kind of have to, honestly.
I do like the forehand approach on this hole. If you've
Yeah.
got that in the arsenal, just a nice flex line. Go get around that bush.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And she's matching the angle of the hill there. Throwing a backhand on this hole is a bit of a risk because even if you throw it nice and smooth, it could still catch an edge landing and roll down, potentially out of bounds.
Some nice power from Cat. Right up the middle.
Also getting a
there you
nice
go.
little scoot and roll.
That was 4 very nice drives from the card.
Sarah said that she threw with too much power, so I think she was a little closer than she had practiced for her approach shots.
Nothing like that good old tournament arm.
But she throws a nice approach, and she'll have short little tap in for a par.
Just looking at a similar distance, sliding it into that tier.
Using those pavers, kind of sliding it along the edge there.
Cat with just kind of a little bit of like a throat putt.
Yeah. She's giving it a bit of a gentle run.
Were you sitting just outside the circle?
Yeah, just outside. And I was feeling pretty good about myself.
Oh, well, I bet you're feeling better now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great 2.
Yes. It felt really good.
Another slow-mo for our very own Alan Hansen. I love the commitment on that with the step putt.
Yeah.
And the fist bump.
I was just feeling really confident and wanted to capitalize on it. Cat pretty close, but weird angle for her par putt, but she is able to convert.
Yeah. I landed right there yesterday.
It was nice to see everyone on this card, I mean, kind of having maybe not a bid, but a look at the basket. 'Cause
Absolutely.
the power needed to get up this hill. It is not surprising that you were the only birdie on the day.
I didn't think I was ever going to birdie that hole, so pretty stoked about that. So that puts me 2 strokes into the lead. Owen still having a really solid round, and Maria Oliva back to even. She's putting herself in a tie for second, 2 strokes off the lead.
It's nice to see everyone in this top 10 really, I mean, staying close.
Yeah. It's everyone's all well within reach of each other. Moving on to hole 16, another super steep uphill hole. We've got this gap we're gonna fly through. There's a forehand gap to the left of this tree, and you're just kind of trying to throw it as far up this hill as you can. If you throw it a little too high and catch one of these trees, you could potentially kick far down the slope on the right, which is pretty much your biggest danger on this hole. And as you can see, a lot of slope on the green outside the bullseye, making some putts to be a little scary.
You throwing your cloud breaker again?
Yeah.
Wow. There's a huge hyzer.
Yeah. I pulled that a little wider than I wanted to. I wasn't planning to go around that tree, but
You're not going to see as many women taking that high of the gap. But when you can,
yeah.
why bother with the trees?
Jessica throwing the forehand down the left side. Maybe a
Didn't
little too
quite
much.
come back.
Yeah, a little too much turnover, but she's not in a bad spot. Sarah looks to be lining up a forehand down the left side, or the right side, excuse me, of the fairway. Not getting
Be a
quite
little dangerous.
enough turn on hers,
Right there.
and she'll be on that hillside.
The biggest thing with this course is if you're going to pick your line, as long as you commit to it, you should be okay. Cat taking the center line with that backhand, and that's really what you're going to see most women taking, is just shooting up that gap and trying to get to one of these 2 slightly flat spots.
Slightly flat.
Not flat, but as close as you're going to get on this fairway.
Yeah. Jessica with a hog. Doesn't quite get enough turnover. Scoots a little down the hill, but she sits. She'll have a long putt for her par. Catrina with some awkward footing, it looks like, trying to throw a nice Annie.
I'm always impressed with the balance she finds when she's really like extending herself in some of those patent pendings.
Absolutely. A lot of control on her upshots.
Like a nice smooth upshot from Sarah, and she puts herself well in the bullseye. Nice obstructed putt. You checking your lie?
I was just checking to make sure I was in circle 2
Oh,
so I could step in. That was,
2 in a row.
yeah.
And on holes that you just don't see the birdie.
This was a bit of a scary putt, trying to go around the tree.
Ooh.
Just catching on the left
Ooh,
side
wow.
of the basket.
Just enough.
Just enough. I was really, really stoked about that one.
You look thrilled. Ugh.
Jessica pushing that a little too high. She had a little bit of a low ceiling there for that putt.
Seemed like she released it a little early, too. Oh, sit? Okay.
Just a little low for Kat. She'll tap in a bogey.
So frustrating when you're in that circle and you've done the work to get up there and you're just an inch or two. Sarah grabbing her par and Jess grabbing a bogey. First one in a while. She had a nice string of pars there.
Yes. Moving on. We're at the top of the ridge here. Relatively flat hole. Kind of going a little up, a little down, a little bit of headwind. Drop off on the left, drop off on the right. Kind of just trying to throw it as straight as you can down this fairway. A lot of ground play on this hole. Potential to land, 100, 200 feet in front of the basket. Just skip and slide all the way up there.
It can be strange after throwing 2 holes straight uphill to just be able to see the basket straight ahead of you.
I'm going right at it with FD. A little low, but I'm happy with where that ends up, just outside the circle. Sarah clearing off the tee pad a little bit.
Taking a nice flex forehand there. As long as it stays inside the trees.
Good kick there.
Perfect.
Pushing that left side a little bit, but she'll be in the middle of the fairway.
Using the full width of the fairway. Just throwing a little high. Should have time to come back if it misses these trees.
Yep.
Great
Fights
shot.
through.
That's going to be a very common miss. You'll see people catching those edge branches on the right side, like 100 feet out. Not even. 80 feet out.
Yeah.
Oh, early and low release there for Kat. That skip is not going to help her.
And she skipped off that concrete and went very far down the hill. Super unfortunate result for that shot. Trying to power it up through that gap of sunlight we can see there. Looks like she just threw it a little too high.
There's so much brush on the side of these hills. It's crazy to fight through.
She was able to get up to the edge there on her third shot and pitch up right underneath the basket.
Just giving it a bit of a run, but falling short, but fine tapping in that par.
And I laid it up. I kind of wanted to go for the turkey, but I also didn't want to get a bogey, so I just laid it up. At this point, I knew that if I just parred 17 and 18, I would have a not mediocre lead going into the final round, so I was just trying to stick with my game plan and be solid.
Ooh, I love a good 2-foot battle putt. Tapping in that par.
So unfortunate hole for Catrina there, and the rest of our card takes pars.
Welcome to the top of the world. We have our final hole of the round, hole 18, a whopping 516-foot par 3, you guessed it. Really, so your only OB is going to be the road on the left side. You're going to see a lot of players taking a direct approach kind of down the middle. And really, as long as you don't throw it too high, you should find the ground before going out of bounds. You'll also see some players taking the forehand approach over the road and trees and crash landing into this open space.
I'm throwing a P2 down there. I threw a mid-range into the road yesterday, so I'm just trying to keep it controlled.
Catching the tree and just landing right by the drop zone.
Yeah, I did land right by the drop zone. It was a little weird.
I've actually seen that quite a few times. Nice.
Sarah throwing this forehand, not quite as wide as some people may throw, but it's looking
That was great work on the catch cam. That was wonderful.
Shout out to the crew. Good job. A great shot there from Sarah.
Yeah, that was great. There was a little bit of wind today. I would say maybe a little more than yesterday, or it felt like it from the top.
You can see those
See the feathers?
banners whipping behind Jessica.
Just taking the wider hyzer approach, which really is probably one of the safest, and giving yourself a lot of time.
Digging in right there. She'll have a long look for a birdie.
If you throw that one too flat, you can get a skip that pushes you into the road.
What a beautiful, beautiful shot here.
Yeah, you can see the ocean.
Cat playing the slower speed play right down the middle.
Just gotta push past that tree. Okay, so that's the last thing she had to fight with.
Just a little bit inside there, but she'll have a gentle approach up to the basket. I'm just
There you are.
trying to throw something, toss it gently up there, get myself a little par putt.
Yeah, keeping it simple on this final hole. Just giving it a run.
It's a good run, giving it a lot of height, just a little bit right. Sarah trying to make good on her birdie.
Oh,
Just,
high on that one.
yeah, that's a tough one.
To be that close. Ugh.
Yeah,
Just making good on her par, keeping her back nine pretty clean.
yeah, only 2 bogeys. That's a solid round.
Cat cashing her putt for the par. Nice and easy.
Executing
Oh,
my
man.
game plan, just taking a couple of pars, and Sarah taps in a bit of a disappointing par for her.
That'll wrap up our round 2 coverage of the Masters Cup. Ella, I really have to say your back nine was spectacular. With 1 bogey to start, and then you were like, "Oh, that's it." Pick up 2 great birdies, and you have yourself a 3-stroke lead going in tomorrow. Joining you is going to be Owen Scoggins, Maria Oliva, and then Jessica Weese will stay on that lead card. I'm so excited.
We'll be moving to the Delaveaga golf course tomorrow. This is our last round at the traditional disc golf course. A lot of solid play here today, and we'll be excited to see what happens tomorrow at the golf course.
We're going to substitute some of our clips for a couple sand traps, so I'm excited to see everyone attack that course and have a couple more open shots, see what everyone does with it.
I'm Ella Hansen.
And I'm Raven Klein. Thank you so much for joining us, and I really can't wait for tomorrow.
See you soon.